I need to turn on the lights in the middle of the day. Guys, welcome back to another video here from the Off-Grid Garage in rainy Australia. It is once again raining, but it has now cooled down outside and it is the perfect temperature to do some work in the Off-Grid Garage. So welcome back to the show. Well, what do we have today? 49% state of charge only. It is 3:45 already and we are discharging with... Man, the battery was on 11% this morning. I charged the vehicle. This morning it didn't look too bad actually. The sun was already out, just a few clouds, and it looked like we are getting a nice day. But it turned afternoon. Raining. Clouds. Making only 870 watts. Guys, in today's video we want to have a look at these nice and beautiful batteries here Gobelpower has sent over. I've ordered this one last year in December, end of November or something, 23, and they arrived here in January 24. And since then they're standing here in the garage and waiting for me to unbox, test and use them. And today we start with that. So first of all, we want to have a look what we actually got here. There we go. So we've got the Gobelpower batteries. Of course, these are EVE cells LF280K with nominal capacity of 280 ampere hours and 3.2 volts. Internal resistance smaller than 0.25 milliohms. And I've checked some of these cells already and they are amazing. That is a very, very high quality of cells. There's no belly. This one, we talk about this in a minute. But so far there's no denting, no scratching, nothing, no fingerprints, nothing. Apart from mine, of course. Really nice and beautiful, high quality lithium iron phosphate batteries. Really good. And we've got the original barcode here etched into the aluminium lid right next to the safety valve. And I checked all of the valves here as well. There's no moisture underneath, no spills, nothing. They all look the same, very perfect. And we also want to have a look at the QR code. Oh, it's already scanned. Wow, that was quick. So we have the EVE Power 04Q. Is this the fourth quarter of the year? Maybe? I don't know. LF280K, 280 ampere hours, 896 watt hours. Production date is the 14th of August in 23. So they were like 3-4 months old when I ordered them. Of course, they are coming from the Jingmen factory. And they have produced 6,156 batteries, I assume, that day. So far the first optical inspection, top. And we're having a quick look at the Gobelpower website to see what kind of batteries they actually are. Lithium iron phosphate battery cells. You can see they have all the battery cells you ever wanted. Including the Goshen, are they called Goshen? Including the Goshen 340 ampere hour cells. I really want to get 4 of them to build a 12 volt battery to see how these perform. But this time I went with the EVE LF280K because they were on special, 37% off. And apparently the capacity range for these 280 ampere hour cells are 305 ampere hours plus. Plus, you know, at least 305 ampere hours. This is what Gobelpower promises you when you buy a 280 ampere hour battery. That's how good they are. Single pole, flexible bus bars. No, I didn't get the flexible bus bars. HSEV, that means high speed electric vehicle. There are low speed electric vehicle, high speed electric vehicle and ESS, which is the lowest tier in their battery quality. Matched internal resistance, matched voltage. We talked about this. It is just a snapshot at this time when they do it. Once you start using the batteries, they will drift apart anyway. And I have ordered 16 of these cells because we want to build another 48 volt or 51.2 volt battery. So, and the interesting part here is that we get all the information from Gobelpower about these batteries. You can scan the QR code and put the QR code of your battery into the QR code decoder they have on their website. And it gives you all the test results of this specific battery. Well, I didn't get the flexible copper bus bars. So here you can see the difference between all the battery qualities, ESS, LSEV and HSEV. And I link this website down below as well, but they are talking about grade B, grade A-, special version and grade A. They also have an LSEV and an LSEV Plus now, and an HSEV minus. There's also a grade A Plus now. Gets all far too complicated. And as you can see from the workbench here, the testing of these batteries is in full swing. I have just selected 3 random batteries out of these 4 boxes here, which I will capacity test. And we will do a consistency overlay test as well. We will overlay the charge and discharge curve of these 3 battery cells, because they are supposed to be matched internal resistance, voltage, and we know Gobelpower also matches for charge and discharge curve. So we want to check if this all matches, and in a later stage we also want to compare these battery cells to other battery cells we have purchased before. Like the B-grade batteries we got from EVE. Yep, original B-grade with a B stamped on the QR code. And we have done some capacity testing there as well, and want to have a look and compare them to the high-speed electric vehicle battery cells from Gobelpower. Is there a difference? Well, we will find out. So, all the testers on the workbench, the small EBC-A20, I use this one to discharge the cells. The big Chinese cracker, the A40L, is charging and discharging, and we also take the curves, of course, here. And I use my power supply to pre-charge the cells, because they are coming with around 75. So they're coming with a state of charge of 75 ampere hours, which is this in percent. So as always, we are doing a full charge to 3.65 volts with the tester, doing a full discharge afterwards down to 2.5 volts, taking the discharge curve, of course, with the computer, and then do a full recharge to 3.65 volts again. Yeah, and afterwards, these cells obviously are 100% full, while the cells here in the box are only charged to 75 ampere hours. And that's why I use this small tester here again to get rid of the charge and bring them down to 75 ampere hours. So roughly on the same state of charge as they were before we started this testing. Because we are not going to do a traditional top balancing with these batteries here, so I'm not going to parallel them and charge them up to 3.6 volts or something, just to balance them all out. No, we will let the BMS do the job. So as they come out of the box here, they go into the battery, are being connected in series to a 16S 51.2 volt battery, and then we charge them up all at once, and we let the BMS's balancer do the top balancing for us. Much quicker, much more convenient. So here we are at 295.2 ampere hours, and we are at 3.4 volts only. So there's still a bit to go here, right? That's good, because they're promised at least 305 ampere hours. Says it there. Capacity range 305 plus. So obviously the batteries, they come in their usual cardboard box with the foam. So they are protected very well in these boxes. Double corrugated cardboard. Strong plastic corner protectors on all sides. Interestingly, they're coming with 4 of these epoxy sheets. So if you build your 12 volt battery, you've got an isolator in between your cells already. So I've never seen a manufacturer including these ones. And then they come with the non-flexible bus bars and some flange nuts. And they also come with a multi-page warranty policy. And this Gobelpower warranty policy or declaration here comes in English and in German as well. And they obviously go over what is covered under warranty, what is not covered under warranty, how to make a claim if there is a damage with one of the batteries, and they praise themselves how good their service and quality of the products is. So if there is anything wrong with your batteries or delivery, definitely take them up on that. So I've now finished the second battery testing, charging and discharging capacity. And I'm going to discharge this one now with 206.5 ampere hours. So, and now you do the simple maths. You've got 206.5 ampere hours, and we are discharging with 20 amps. This is just the small tester EBC-A20. So you're dividing 206.5 ampere hours divided by 20 amps, gives you 10.3 hours. Times 60, we want to have it in minute, is 619.5 minutes. That's why I set the tester to discharge with 20 amps for 619 minutes. Yeah, because I cannot set the tester to discharge 206 ampere hours. So I need to do it with a timer. But this should be close enough. negative, positive. So first thing I'm doing is recharging this battery to 3.65 volts now with a tester here, because it comes out of one of these boxes here, and I have just used the power supply here to pre-charge it a bit, but I don't know at what state it is, so I have to fully charge it anyway, and then we can start the test. Full discharge, full charge again. So while we are waiting for this battery to fully charge, we will have a look at these cells again here and do the belly test and see what's going on. We've got a bit of a belly in the middle, actually left and right of the electrodes. This is very unusual, because usually the swelling occurs where the electrodes sit. And we try this one cell, which we have already charged and discharged once, if there's any difference at all. No difference. No difference, I would say. I almost totally forgot to come back to the garage and start the discharge test here of this battery. I was editing a video inside, and now it's already 10:30 p.m. But this is actually perfect, because the test will take about 7 hours to discharge the cell, and then it's early in the morning, so we can swap it over to a charge test then, and then in the afternoon everything is done and we can have the results. So in the EB-Tester software I have now programmed 2 tasks for this discharge sequence. So firstly, we want to constant voltage charge the battery to 3.65 volts with 40 amps and a cutoff of 14 amps. As in our previous battery capacity tests, I have always charged the battery with 1 amp cutoff. But as per the manufacturer EVE specification, if we charge to a 3.65 volt, we should stop at 0.05 C. And 280 ampere hours times 0.05 C is 14 amps. So this is the cutoff, and this is considered the battery to be fully charged. So once this is reached, we do a discharge test with constant current of 40 amps down to 2.5 volts. And the battery is already fully charged, so this first step here, the charging to 3.65 volts, will only take a few seconds, then the battery is full, and the second task we have programmed here will then discharge the battery down to 2.5. We have done this many times before. I'm just explaining it again because we have so many new viewers. If you watch some of the older videos, we have done a ton of battery testing with the EB-Tester software and the EBC-20 and the EBC-A20, the small tester, or the EBC-A40L, the big Chinese cracker. Okay, we click on OK here. Okay, I'm just pre-charging the battery a bit until we hit close to 3.6 volts, and then we start our sequence. So I'm only doing this because when we overlay all the charge and discharge curves, we've got the same start point for these curves. Otherwise the graphs would have an offset because we started discharging at a different time. So I'm trying to match them up as close as possible. Okay, there we go. We go into our cycle test and start the whole sequence from here. So it does exactly the same. It charges to 3.65, 14 amps tail current, and then we do the full discharge test. So you've reached the 3.65 volts. Tester has stopped now, goes to 0, and now it goes back up to 40 amps, but now we are discharging. So from here on, it will take around 7 hours, a bit more. So 11, 6, should be ready by about 6:30, 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. And I haven't told you for a while, you have a good night's sleep, and we see us again tomorrow morning then. It really feels like in the good old times, right? When we did a lot of battery testing and we had to wait like 14, 15, 16 hours because we only had the small tester here, and this one charges with 5 amps only. But now we are in a far better situation with a big Chinese cracker here. So tomorrow morning it will be. We've got like very light cloud cover again, but the sun is out. And we are charging with close to 7 kilowatt into the battery. 125 amps outside, 9:30. Nice. And good morning guys, I'm back. So we have now finished the discharge of this 280 ampere hour battery cell, and we have discharged it with 303 ampere hours. It's a 280 ampere hour cell, 303. That is not bad, right? That is almost 1 kilowatt hour of energy. And we can see here the typical discharge curve of a lithium iron phosphate battery. We've got a very steep drop when we started discharging at 3.55 volts or something. And here right at the beginning, we are going under 3.3 volts at 1.7 ampere hours used. And then we go all the way flat, 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 flat. And here at the end, close to the end, 3.15. Most people stop discharging at 3.1 volts, so 3.100 volts. Let me find this on the curve here. Let me find this. This is exactly here, 3.101 volts. Yeah, this is when you stop discharging these lithium iron phosphate batteries. This is right at the edge of the curve before it goes down the cliff. And it already measures 288 ampere hours at this point. This is what we have taken out of this battery. And when you do the maths, 303 ampere hours is 100%, 288 ampere hours is 95%. So discharging your lithium iron phosphate battery to 3.1 volts uses 95% of the battery capacity. I go actually all the way down to 3 volts. I think 3 volts is a good point. 2.999 is 293. So in here at 3 volts we have discharged 293.6 ampere hours. So this gives you another 1.7% of the battery capacity. So as you can see, there's not much difference between 3.1 and 3 volts. And there's still another 3.3% left of the capacity for emergency purposes. So there's not much gain if you go further down. You're only stressing the battery and you're not gaining any more energy or capacity out of this battery. Alright guys, I have already saved all this information here, and we are going to open the charge settings, which is this file, and then our settings are changing. So we are discharging again to 2.5 volts to get our common start point for all the curves, for all the measurements I'm doing, and then we start again charging with 40 amps to 3.65 volts and with a cutoff of 14 amps. Okay, without further ado, let's click start. It's discharging again down to 2.5, which should, yeah, there it is. Stops the discharging, and now it starts charging the battery with 3.65 volts, constant voltage, 40 amps. This is another 7 hours. It is 9:30 now, so this will be 4:30 in the PM. Well, I guess I'll see you in the afternoon. I want to show you something here. Remember last night when we put this battery on here to discharge it by 205, what was it again? 206.5 ampere hours, yeah? And I set the charger to stop discharging at 619 minutes. And this is exactly what it did. After 619 minutes, it stopped discharging, and we have pulled 206.3 ampere hours. So this battery is now at the exact same state of charge again as all the other batteries. Yeah, this was the state of charge of the battery before we started with all this testing. So hopefully it is in line with all the other batteries and we don't see these 3 cells peaking either high or low. It should be fine. So it is shortly after 5 PM now, and we have now fully tested these 3 battery cells from the last delivery from Gobelpower. So cell number 2 has discharged with 306.4 ampere hours. Cell number 10 has discharged with 299 ampere hours. And cell number 13 finished with 302.9 ampere hours. So we have 7.3 ampere hours of difference between the lowest and the highest cell across these 3 cells. You can only imagine if I would test all 16 here, we will have a different capacity with each battery cell. And this is why I always say, don't pay too much attention about if a seller promotes their batteries with matched internal resistance, matched voltage, matched capacity. You can see if you do your test at home, you will get totally different results. They use different testers, probably colder or warmer over there. The test conditions are just not the same. So neither will your results. And there will always be one cell which is the strongest and one cell which is the weakest. Always. So I'm not too concerned about these results at all. If I would test cell number 10 again, we will have a different result. Maybe we go over 300 ampere hours then as well. But it is just not worth the effort. And here again we can see the typical charge curve of a lithium iron phosphate battery. A steep incline in voltage at the beginning, then a slow raise of voltage until we hit 3.3 volts, and then the battery charges on these 3.3 volts and hits 3.65 volts. At this point we keep the voltage constant and our current goes down quickly from 40 amps down to 14 amps, and then we call it, the battery is then fully charged. All right, let's focus on this last part of this charge curve, and we want to find the 3.45 volts. This is exactly here, 3.45 volts. At this point we have charged 304.3 ampere hours into this battery cell out of 306.5. So, and if you do the maths here, this battery is now 99.3% charged. 99.3% charged at 3.45 volts. So there is literally no reason to charge this battery any higher. There's no capacity gain, there's no energy gain, nothing. 3.45 is the voltage you want to charge your batteries to, everything above. And I must say I'm very, very pleased that even Victron has now changed their documentation and says charging to 3.45 volts is sufficient, because above that there's no gain of any capacity. So obviously they watched my earlier videos with all the testing as well, and I'm expecting they did some in-house testing as well to confirm these results. This is 99%, and this is also the voltage where the cells are start to show a difference, and this is also the voltage where your balancer should kick in. If you let your balancer kick in at 3.4 volts because you want to be a bit proactive, 3.4 volts is down here. See, this is still the flat part of this curve. There's no differentiation between here and here, for example, and even here this is only 6 millivolt higher. But the capacity, but we are talking about 7 ampere hours from here to here, and the cells will not show any difference at 3.4 volts. Very, very minimal, but this is not enough to actually distinguish or to determine if the cell needs balancing. So you really want to charge to a 3.45 volts and start balancing there, and also stop charging. Keep the voltage constant. So you keep the voltage constant here at 3.45 volts per cell to give the balancer some time to do its work. And this is the only reason we are not stopping completely charging here. We keep the voltage for a while just to balance out the pack. Half an hour or an hour depending on your balancer. And then we drop back to 3.35 volts. So wonderful and beautiful curves we have here on the screen. As always guys, I have saved all these curves and all the data on my website. I link this all down below. You can download the EBC-Tester software for free, and you can download all the test results from my website and put them in your EBC-Tester software. And then you click on the right mouse button and you can go through all the curves again and try to understand how lithium iron phosphate works, because this is very unique. This is different to everything else we have on the market, and it still causes a lot of confusion, especially when you are new to this technology. And I'm still receiving several emails a week where people say my batteries are faulty, the voltage is not rising, even I charge for over 1 day. Well, the voltage is not rising much. As you can see, it's fairly flat. And if the voltage rises, the battery is 99% charged already. So you can stop. This is all the battery needs. So can you charge the batteries to 99% every single day? Yes, of course you can. These batteries here, they have 6,000 cycles. If you do this every single day, the battery will last over 15 years. Does it make sense to charge these batteries to 80% only? No, absolutely not. And honestly, you can't do it. There's no voltage associated with 80% state of charge. It is in the flat area of the curve. This voltage could mean you are at 60%, or you are at 93%, or you are at 40%. You don't know. Until you hit this 3.45 volts, this knee, where the curve actually goes up, you don't know what state of charge your battery has just by measuring the voltage. keeping these batteries between 3 volt and 3.45 volts. They will last a very, very, very long time. So don't worry about it. Just use the battery, charge it, discharge it, and everything will be fine. Okay, so in the next step, we want to have a look at all these 3 batteries I've tested here, but I'll be back later in the garage, and then we do the overlay test with the Gobelpower batteries here and see how good they actually look like in these tests in comparison to other batteries we have tested before. This will be very interesting, so stay tuned for this. I'll be back after a short pfft. And once again, I'm back just after a pfft. Okay guys, I have now prepared some of the overlay graphics already, which I want to show you. That's not the one. There it is. There it is. Okay, here we can see all 3 discharge curves of these 3 cells I have tested from Gobelpower as an overlay. Cell number 2 is the blue one, cell number 10 is the green one, and cell number 13 is the orange one. And you can see they are pretty much on top of each other, right? So, and then here at 3.2 volts, I would say, they start spreading apart a bit. And this is only because they have different capacities. Yeah, 306, 299, 303. And this is why the graph ends at different positions here in this picture. Obviously the blue one, cell number 2, has the highest capacity and stays the longest. It can keep the voltage longer than the other 2 batteries. But here in the main nominal voltage area of these batteries, they are pretty much the same. So I would say these batteries are fairly consistent in the way they are discharging, which is good. And this is one thing Gobelpower does as well. They are matching cells as per their charge and discharge curves. Yeah, not only internal resistance and capacity and voltage, because as I said before, this is just a snapshot, but the curve gives you actually more information about the cell and how good you can match these curves to curves of other cells. And I'll show you this here in another graphic I have. No, not this one. Here it is. So I picked the Gobel battery number 13 because this is the one with the medium capacity we have tested. This is our blue curve. And the green curve here is an EVE LF280K certified automotive grade cell. We have tested here on the channel a while back. And what can you see? Well, these 2 curves are not so consistent as the ones we looked at before. So you can see the voltage of the automotive grade certified cell is actually sagging down a lot more than the Gobel battery. The difference is not too much here, but you can see in the middle part of the curves, the distance gets more and more, then they come closer together again, then they are spread apart further and further. And here we can see that the certified cell is not holding the voltage as good as the Gobel battery. If you look down here, we've got 303 ampere hours against 285 ampere hours, which was measured with the certified cell. And that's why the green curve drops earlier. So, and let's do something else. Let's add another discharge curve to this graph here. And I want to choose the fake lithium battery cells, which are the worst cells I ever bought. They came already totally bloated to me. But the performance of these fake lithium cells was actually better than of the certified cell. So, File, Open Data, Discharge Curve, Open. And we give this one another color. We choose orange again. And click OK. And there it blends in. Look at this. The fake lithium cell is actually more consistent with the Gobel battery than with the certified cell. It sits perfectly on top of the Gobel battery. And we want to have a look at the EVE LF280K B-Grade. The B-Grade, the one with the B stamped on the QR code. We open the discharge curve, we go to open, and we give this one a color like pink, purple. Okay, and look at this. Even this B-grade battery is more in line with the Gobel battery and the fake lithium batteries than with the certified batteries from EVE. And then here again, we've got a little bit less capacity than in the Gobel battery. So it dips off earlier, but you can see the consistency is just there. It follows the other line, while the green one is just below that. And it's sometimes further or closer apart from the other battery cells. And one more thing here to observe is the average voltage of each of these battery cells. Yeah, the Gobel battery, 3.23 volts over the whole discharge period. Average voltage. The certified automotive grade cell, 3.21 volts. The fake lithium battery cell, 3.24 volts. So it looks like they are not as fake as they look like from the outside, right? And then we've got the B grade cell, which has 3.23 volts as well. So same as the Gobelpower battery. So as you can see, you can spend a life and a half just analyzing all these graphs from all these charge and discharge tests we have done here in the Off-Grid Garage. And as I said, I've got all this data on my website. You click on batteries, you go to battery data, and here you will find all the tests we have ever done in the Off-Grid Garage. You can download all the data, all the CSV files, which you can import then in the EB-Tester software. It is all explained up here in the header of this website. So knock yourself out, download the graphs, download the data, the CSV files. You can overlay them, you can do a right click, you can analyze all the graphs together. Gives you something to do if the sun is not shining. And of course there are also the links to all the videos where we have done the testing, explaining everything in details again, walking you through the charge and discharge curves of all these test batteries. So all the information is there, you just need to look into it. Alright my friends, I think that's it for today. A lot of information in this video here, a lot of testing, a lot of curves, a lot of charge and discharge. But this is what we do when we get new batteries. We pick a few randomly and do a charge and discharge curve and see how they compare to other batteries we have tested before. Because the supplier always tells you, well, they are all matched. Are they? Well, yes, the Gobelpower batteries are matched. As far as I can tell, all three batteries are 100% matched. Not from the capacity, but again, it's a snapshot they take, it's a snapshot I take. Different testers, different environment of testing. There's always a difference. Well, I must say, so far these batteries have not reached the promised 305 plus ampere hours, which are stated on the Gobelpower website. But all of these batteries are exceeding the 280 ampere hours they are rated for. And no, I don't think these are 304 ampere hour batteries, because the QR code is the original QR code of these batteries. And it clearly reads as an LF280K, so it's a 280 ampere hour battery. They just have a lot more capacity. So if you're on the market for building a do-it-yourself battery, I would really consider Gobelpower. So far their batteries have never disappointed. Neither in the Gobelpower battery we have tested, nor here as single battery cells we have ordered now. As always guys, all the information are under the video in the description. There's tons of links, tons of information in there, so always have a look in the description as well. And of course we will do more testing with these Gobel batteries once we put them in the battery box. We do a full capacity test of all 16 cells, then have a look in the BMS as well and see how consistent they actually charge and discharge when they are connected in 16S as a whole battery. As always guys, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for all your great support to all these exactly wonderful and beautiful people out there who have donated to the channel here. And of course a big thank you to William and Marcel for using my Tesla referral code, which is linked down below as well. Using this code, you get something, I get something. It's a win-win situation. And congratulations to your Model Y. And of course, thank you to everyone else as well, leaving comments, sharing these videos, liking these videos. This all in combination makes this channel possible. So thank you very much to everyone. And if you have watched until here, well done and thank you very much. Guys, until the next video when we finally unpack the new battery box here and test it out and put these cells into this box. And I'm very excited about this. Until then guys, you stay charged, stay safe, and thanks again for watching. See you then. Bye bye.